Hi, my name is Silvia Bajardi and I'm an artist. I started painting when I was a child as a hobby. I loved spending time with my brush in my room. My mom used to call it a room of my own. And in time I started to take lessons. So I continued painting throughout my 20s and as a teenager before. Attended Gage Academy of Art. So I attended the contemporary atelier with Mark Kango Higgins, and I decided to make it my career. My technique is called mixed media, so I use different mediums and different types of pigments, colors to create my paintings. The reason behind that is very much connected to my experience, overlaying different types of mediums and usually I start with acrylic and then I like to use cold wax mixed with oil pigments because I really like the subtlety that wax can create. I get this very rich consistency that works beautifully on the acrylic, on the dryness sometimes, and the scraped level underneath. And I like also the fact that it's moldable, almost like a sculpture. And so I often use what I believe is called a pasta cutter to cut through it. So it's very Italian. I love going through it and see what there is behind, because sometimes I almost forget, and there is a layer that had a meaning initially, and so I find it again and I discover the light that comes through it, which is very representative of the concept I'm trying to express, which is like this layering of what life is. But I use it sporadically, so my paintings are not covered by cold wax. You won't find like a thick layer all the way through, but sections. Again, this suggests for me this sense of movement and energy and rich experience. You know, the history of the painting as well, which is for me is important. You can really see that a painting didn't just come to be. It was created by, you know, a labor of love. So the impasse is, for me, is the final touches where I want to point sometimes the attention to, or to a particular element that I find interesting. Influences of my art, the cultural influences, are particularly tied to my journey. So I am Italian, and I grew up immersed in beauty, in art, architecture, nature. It's really a place where beauty abounds. And so I would say that probably that has been my first approach and experience with art. It's really what you see and find walking around in the streets. And obviously you have a wealth of you know, museums, exhibitions, and since I was in primary school, you know, they take you around and see things. But then I was exposed to other places, other cultures throughout my life. My grandmother was French, so we went to France often during the holidays, and my parents loved that country, and then I started to travel when I was young, so I lived in England and then in Spain, and then with my family we moved to Asia and lived in China for a while and Singapore. So all these places really gave me a broader perspective of what art can be and different ways of mediums and forms it can materialize. So I loved, for instance, in China, you know, all the jade. I love the concept in Sumiye painting, for instance, how purposeful every brushstroke needs to be. And then I love the tiles in Spain, you know, and all the castles and the manor houses that I saw in England. So many different stimuli and so many things that helped me, you know, create a different sense of what I wanted to express and what I wanted to portray. My exhibition is called Hortus Conclusus, which in Latin means enclosed garden. It's the terminology that expanded its meaning through centuries. The first time that was mentioned, I believe it was in the Old Testament, so it had a religious meaning. It was connected also to the Virgin, so to purity, to the concept of the womb, protective. And then in the Middle Age, it started to have both a symbolic and a physical meaning, because it was the enclosed garden within the monasteries where the monks used to, you know, labor and cultivate the herbs and the flowers. And then in the Renaissance, it started to have a broader meaning, a symbolic one. So the garden that we cultivate within ourselves, we have our sense of creativity, inspiration, and it's this symbolic meaning, mostly disconnected from any religious meaning to me, that it really made sense, because it's the garden I created throughout my experience as a traveler. Since I travel so much, something that often comes with it is a sense of instability and a fear of not belonging. I love traveling and I embraced these experiences, but at the same time, they didn't come without challenges. And so I had to develop adaptability as a muscle, and I was really curious about the new cultures. I had to learn about them and to feel at home. And so my enclosed garden was the one that allowed me to do this. I found the stability within me, but it's a stability that comes with movement and energy, and it's dynamic. It's always evolving. And so this is what I wanted to portray. And I think it shows by the fact that I used a lot of natural elements, and they carry movement and energy. Painting for this exhibition made me do something that I wouldn't perhaps normally do, which is exposing myself. So my inner garden, my enclosed garden, was out for the public to see. And as much as I enjoy sharing my paintings, it was also very personal and very intimate. My goal is for people to experience that sense of belonging as well. Something that helped me a lot through all these travels and moving was creating meaningful relationship with people and finding a common ground. And I think it's a universal feeling, the fact of not feeling stable. Life makes you feel like that. So it's not just me because I move, and perhaps I experience it in a more extreme form. But for me, color and the sense of energy and movement that I try to convey in my paintings is really something that connects us all. And I paint in an intuitive way. So the colors I find reflect many different words, not just one. And so hopefully the connection is there with the viewer. So writing, and specifically writing poetry, came into the picture because I've always written. It's perhaps my primary form of communication. Is how I put down thoughts and kind of arrange them in my mind in a clearer way. Poetry, again, is the most intuitive way. It's the one really connected to the deepest part of my feelings. And it's realized through images that sometimes come to mind. And this is where I found an incredible connection with painting. putting these two forms of expression together allowed me really to expand what I was trying to let emerge. And so I found that one medium allowed the other to express a broader message. Sometimes where I didn't have words, I had images, and vice versa. So not necessarily one form of art sparkled the other. It could be really random, and sometimes just putting down a piece of poetry, because poetry is something that you really carve. You spend time on each word carries a weight and needs to be connected in sound and in meaning with the others. And painting somehow is the same. I mean, you have a space available, you need to make things work, and they need to have a sense in an organized world. So I found these two forms beautiful to work together. I don't think I have a favorite piece, because each painting came to be for a reason and in a specific moment. So it's tied to time and experience. There are some pieces I'm particularly connected with. One is a small painting that is called Threshold. It represents for me that state in between two worlds. There is a special type of light and a special type of also of colors that I selected for that piece that really reminded me of the hour when things change. And because of this reason, I also like personally another piece that is called The Golden Hour, which is precisely the hour in between, where the world transforms. And this concept of in between is particularly dear to me because it's a place of possibilities. So often when I depict memories, it can be in a form of garden, more or less abstracted, but it's not anchored in the past necessarily. There's always a sense of possibility, of potential, and this is what makes me feel good, and that's where I find my own purpose and stability within.